Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I have with me Dean. Many people were asking about the rules I'm reading currently, Armies of God. Hi Dean, how are you doing?
Excellent, sir. Excellent.
Thank you for joining me. What we're going to do today, we're going to check about the rules, about how you wrote them, about your philosophy. And then I have my small armies here, and we're going to show some examples of movement, of battle, or whatever you want. And we tried today to fight a battle with your miniatures. We couldn't connect, but we'll do it next time. We'll try and fix the technical problem. And then we're going to find a full battle report with you doing the movement, so it'll be easier for you to explain everything and how the rules work and the movement and everything else, correct?
Yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So give how you decided to write these rules. These rules are, I mean, this is a period, that's why I like them, period specific. It's like early medieval feudal. You enter also a little bit in the early 100 Years' War, if we consider 100 Years' War started around 1340 something, and your rules also go up to 1350. But you catch also Baron Wars and Scottish Wars of Independence, first and second. So it's a period specific rule set, something that we don't find very easy, something that I like, because when rules that say, you know, these rules are for 3,000 years of warfare, you know, I get a bit worried. So why you went period specific, and why you went in this specific period?
Okay, so a little bit about Broken Spirit Wargames. So Broken Spirit Wargames is just me and a couple of gaming friends, and we've been writing. What our philosophy was that we were just going to write rule sets for miniatures companies that didn't have rules. So we'll find some interesting miniatures and then develop a rule set around them. So with Army of God, it's basically called Army of God as well because of the Baron's army was called the Army of God.
I didn't know that.
The first one, yeah. In the first Baron's Revolt. We'll call it a revolt, yeah. Mm-hmm. So Apocalypse Miniatures did a Kickstarter for all these 10mm miniatures, and the friend of mine called John Robertson, he sculpted them all, and he had shared the link, and I was like thinking, I quite like small, like mass battle kind of stuff, because I'm not really very good at painting, and I haven't got the kind of motivation to do 428mm kind of troops. That would just take a life. So what we did is I got in touch with Apocalypse Miniatures, and they says, yeah, go ahead, write some rules. And it was their miniatures were originally based in the Baronial Wars, which I knew nothing about. I did a lot of research. I bought a lot of Osprey books. Did a lot of research online. I went to a few castles around the UK and stuff. Watched a few TV programs. There's a great one on Netflix called Great British Castles, and basically all of them was spread through that kind of period. They were all like King John of England. He was a part of all these castles at some point. So there's a lot of history there, and it was very easy to research actually because there's a lot of information out there. And the first Kickstarter I done was just for the knights, so it was for the English and the baronial forces, the barons. And then he did the second Kickstarter, which brought out a lot of what he called mercenaries. So I decided, well, we've got the Welsh Wars there as well. There's a lot of Welsh things going on. And there's also the Scottish Wars of Independence.
Yeah.
So it kind of developed from like a 50, 70 year period into about a 200-year period of kind of late medieval. Which is my classic kind of period, really, for me. I just love the bucket hounds, and you know, I love that they've got chain mail and they were just mad with peasants and things like that. And I love the hierarchy of it as well. So you've got the knights, and everyone else below them is just scum.
Yeah, that's
Dragged
true.
up warfare and used as grandfather. It was all about the knights and the chivalric code and things. So, yeah, that's why it is the way it is. So it kind of originally was going to go from Richard the Lionheart with his battles in France, and I didn't put Richard the Lionheart in the rules, but King John was his brother, kind of thing. So it starts with King John. But yeah, and the kind of next phase that we wanted to do, because it was about 7 crusades, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Due to my limited knowledge of it. And the next one we wanted to do was bring out with the Apocalypse franchise was get them to sculpt a load of Muslim force. That'll fit right in the baronial range of troops that I've got in years. Yeah. So then we can go into the Crusades as well. But Army of God originally, I was thinking of the title. I couldn't think of these things. And then I read somewhere that they were called the Army of God when they rode from London. They came from London. Robert Fitzwater, I think it was the first one. Yeah, Fitzwater. And they were called the Army of God when they rose up against the king. So that's where it all comes from, anyways. And that's where Broken Sword kind of stems from. Just looking at, let's see your beautiful miniatures that you've got, because I can't afford to put them into production. But I'm full of ideas and hopefully good techniques for to have exciting battles that aren't too rule heavy. I don't like rule heavy things where I have to keep looking at the book or looking at online. And I just want rules where I played 2 or 3 times and I kind of know 90% of everything I need to know. Keep things simple. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, and I read the rules twice during the weekends that when you sent them to me, and I have to say I like them because you keep. You told me this when we were chatting. You keep a historical accuracy, but at the same time you put some pinches of gameplay so you can make them interesting. You know what I mean? It's not like a simulator that some rules are. Yeah, and I liked it a lot because even this pinches of fun game you put, it doesn't change the historical accuracy. You know, the mounted knights are stronger than the peasants, for example. The noblemen are strong, but when you go to hand-to-hand combat, they're weak. So yes, everything is at balance, but at the same time, you have some really enjoyable mechanics. Obviously, I have a small table here. We can go and we can show some mechanics to the guys and chat it. But let me give an overview, if you don't mind, because I read the rules quite a lot. So very important to say, because people are asking, and you know, you're like me, people hate rebasing. Nobody likes rebasing. I don't like rebasing. I don't want to touch miniatures. I probably would destroy them. So regardless that you made your rules for 10 mm, because your distances are based on bases, so the size of bases, and from playing a couple of situations with the rules, any size, any base, you can play the game, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I was made in conjunction with Apocalypse Miniatures kind of thing. I mean, they provided all the troops for us kind of thing. But when I'm trying to sell the book to people, like, as a very small business, it's really important that I kind of reach out to as many different gamers as I can. So, for example, 15 mil works exactly the same as 10 mil, and 6 mil would as well. 6 mil would still work well. But you can go to 28 mils if you want. As long as both your armies are on the same size bases, and you just kind of adjust the ranges to what you're used to playing, because it's only the range ruler and the missile weapons that would change in the game if you went up and up and up in scale. Yeah, so that's down to the individual for the changing, because the base mechanics would still stay exactly the same.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I have 28 mils back home. I brought, here I'm working small miniatures because, movement will destroy them. Yeah. And I know very well I'm 28 mm player. And your rules can work perfectly with any size. Also, you provide in the rule book, you provide, I think, 6 or 7 army lists, the Welsh, the Scottish, the English, the French, you have the rebel forces and European armies, if I'm not mistaken, all details. But the way you created the list, it's very easy to go further. I mean, for example, for the 100 Years' War, it's very easy. You don't need anything. You have basically the longbowman in the Welsh army. You can add it in the English army. You have rules for longbowman, and that's it.
Yeah,
you don't need anything else.
Absolutely. This rules. I've been to quite a few tournaments over the years, and when you go to official tournaments, it's like they're on the wrong size base. That's not in the rules. Like them figures aren't in my range. You can't use them. Like, go and have fun with the rules. If you want to mess about with the army list, please go and do it. You know what I mean? It's
very.
It's like, for example, the French list is the Northern Army of France.
Yeah,
so at the time, they didn't have a national army because it was kind of, France was divided in north and south, and the south of France was continually battling against the Spanish. Yeah, so the Spanish were more of a guerrilla force. So the Southern Knights weren't as armored, as heavily armored. They were more lightly armored, so they could survive in that kind of terrain. So they would adapt. So if you want to make a Southern Army of France, go ahead and just give them like 1 point less of armor or something. Do you know what I mean?
It's very easy.
Yeah, everything's really easy. I mean, you can bring Flemish forces in. You can bring them from anywhere.
Yeah, because you have to score armies. What we said is that we're going to show some situations. We're not going to show everything, obviously. Let me set up a small 3 forces, and we can see. We can go and set how you start the battle, what you count in general, so we can give the guys an idea how the rules work. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a setup now, and of course, very small, not even armies are these, but for us to understand how the rules work, this is some basics. So, from what I understand, every army should have a number of knights, correct? You have to start with a number of knights.
Yes,
correct?
Yes. So, for example, the English were quite knight heavy, so they would have to have at least 2 units of knights. That could be foot knights or mounted.
So here we have for the English, my English 100 Years' War. So we have these foot knights and these mounted knights. So we are legal.
Yes.
Okay. And we have 2 units of English bowmen. Let's say not longbowmen, bowmen. Let's say they are. Let's say we're not 100 Years' War army. Let's say we have Baron Wars now. Okay.
Yeah.
And here we have Scottish, who have 1 mounted knight, 2 children's armored, and some clansmen, correct?
Some clansmen, yeah.
So from the rules, you of course you calculate the points, and then we're not going to actually. We can have a setup of terrain. You have very nice rules for terrain, especially terrain can play part on the demoralization of army. That's very good rule set. I really like it, and it can be an objective. And when you lose the objective, you may need to take a terror test. If you gain the objective back, then maybe your army breakpoint will rise, and then you don't need to take terror test. So I like this idea of you incorporated in your rule that that terrain pieces can be objectives, and that's good. Because it's in the mechanics.
So terrain is normally in a game just like there to obstruct people and upset them, really. But what I wanted to do was I give every terrain piece a point value, so it counts as if you're holding that. It takes your point value up, and once you get over half of the half of the enemy's army in points, then the enemy have to make a terror check. Now, can I just explain what a terror check is?
Of course.
Yeah. So when 2 armies look at each other on a battlefield, they're going to be. It must be the most terrifying point of any kind of battle. I think. That's when people's hearts either melt or they get steeled with courage. Yeah. So, in my mind, because we're playing with a lot of in feudal times, a lot of the levy troops who were just dragged in, they would have been more terrified the more enemy knights that they saw. So the way I work this out is every army has a terror level. So for every unit of knights that you have, that's 1 point of terror. And when you lose over half and you get that at the start of the battle, so 10 turns in or whatever, when all the slaughters happened, if you kill over the enemy's half points, so if it's a 100-point army and you kill 51 points or more, yeah, that's when the enemy has to make a terror check on your army, kind of thing, in the fleet.
Yeah, that's a very good rule. So, for example, if we get an example here, the English 25, these are 30, so 55, 65, 75. So if you go at almost 75 by 2, yeah. So if you go at half army points here, the English have to take a terror test.
Yeah.
The Scottish have 1 knight, but also they have +2 terror tests because they are fearsome warriors, correct? This is the special rule.
Well, each faction has a national kind of special rule, and the Scots special rule is because of the research I've done was the English were absolutely terrified of rampaging Scottish armies coming across the border. So if they are attacking, because at the start of the game you have to roll to see if you defend or attacker, and if they are the attackers, they get +2 to their terror check straight away. So Scottish can only ever have 1 unit of knights, because mainly their army was just like made up of kind of rebels and clansmen and stuff, children. So their terror check, this army here, their terror will be 1, and the English one will be 2. Their terror level will be 2 because I have 2 units of knights. Yeah. If you're holding these woods as well, that counts towards points being killed by your force as well. So you can just hold a lot of terrain and kill a few units, just to you can still win the game without actually touching people's knights, because knights are absolutely devastating on the field.
Yeah, that's true. And then the opponent rolls d6. And he has to roll lower than the terror number of the opponent, of the enemy, correct? In order to pass the test.
That's to roll more. So, for an example, your English there has a terror level of 2. Okay. So when they're forced to make it, when the Scots are forced to make a terror check, they have to get more than what you have. So they have to get a 3 or more to stick around. If they roll a 1 or 2, they run off. Yeah, because their terror level is 2. And the same goes because the Scots have only got a terror level of 1 because they've got 1 unit of knights. If they have to make a terror roll, they only have to get a 2 or more, and a 1 would see them run off. So they can hang around for ages because the army wasn't really that terrified at the start because they didn't bring a lot of knights with them.
Yeah, that's right. I like this. And if the commander is dead, you break immediately. You cannot take a terror test, correct?
If you kill the general and he's forced, and the army is forced to make a terror test, it's game over. But you can kill the general, and the army can still continue. But if you're forced to make a terror check and your commander is dead or off the table because he's pursuing some rebel, the army just break and flee.
What I like about your game is that the general, let's say this is a general, and let's say the English this general, it's basically a normal unit, has some attributes, but generally it's a normal unit that fights, has some advantages, obviously being a general, but it moves and it fights as other knights or other units of its type, correct?
Yeah, totally.
And that's very good. Now, so we're setting up, we're checking the terror level, we're following the army list's requirements and special rules for each army, and then we have the cards, correct? We have, let's say, the captain's cards, and we have the general's cards. This spices up the game a lot, actually. Can you tell me about them a bit?
Okay, so the game comes with 3 decks of cards that you can just photocopy and cut out. We have terrain cards. They're all 10 deck packs of cards. We have terrain cards, so every game is randomly you put a card down in a piece of the battlefield, in a corner of the battlefield. So and then you have to turn it over. The defender does this. When you have to roll for defender or attacker, the defender does all this, and he places all the terrain. So the battlefields are different every time. I think some of the cards they've got like, you've got a choice of hills, woods, or scrub. Some of the cards are blank, so there's definitely nothing there in that area. Some of them are rivers and things like that. So every game, before you set up, you put the terrain up. It's random every time. And then the next thing is, for every unit of knights that you have in your force, you get a captain's card. So the idea is that each knight unit can bring like a captain with them who has a special rule. Now, you get a random card, and you both get random cards. And then when you look at these cards, it can help you in certain situations. So, for example, one of the captain's cards could be he's absolutely brilliant in combat, and he'll give you a +2 bonus after the dice have been rolled. Once you use the card, they're then discarded. So you might only have, in this force here, the English have got 2 knights, so they'll have 2 captain's cards at random. And the Scottish one will have 1 captain's card. There's 10 different cards to choose from. And they just make slight differences. They're not there to be battle winning or to be overpowered. They're just there to give you little advantages. And the same also goes, the last deck of cards you've got, another 10 cards, is the general's cards. So every army, if you're playing below 200 points, your general has a random trait. So they're just, at the start of the battle, they're just absolutely normal knights of their type. But the random generals, there's 2 really bad cards. There's a card called Imbecile, which means you can't have a command pool. They're just too busy, singing and dancing the whole life away. They're not really into fighting things. And then there's another one called Coward, which gives you a minus modifier for that unit when he's in combat all the time, which is horrendously bad. And then there's the other 8 cards are all bonus kind of cards. So
I have to say your card rules, because I read them, are very good. Really, really, they spice up the game. So let me tell exactly. So, for example, here, let's say the general is the foot man-at-arms. You get 1 general card and 1 captain's card, and 1 captain's card for the knight. So the English will have 2 captain's card and 1 general card.
Yeah.
The Scottish will have 1 general card and 1 captain card for the same unit. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I have to say, your captains, I'm give an example, I'm going to show all the cards. For example, you have a general who will be Fisherman Warrior. Now I dropped the card already. This card can be used, usually depending on what you write, for only the general unit for as long as the game lasts, usually. Yeah. And the captain's card, let's open 1 captain card. This is a slower. These are really good rules. For example, the captain's card can be used in the captain's unit or other units, but can be used once in the game. Is that correct?
Yeah. So you could use it on a unit of peasants if you wanted to. If the peasants were really struggling and they had that slaughter card, you could put it on them for at least try and cause some casualties on the enemy. Yeah. I have to say these are really good. They spice up the game, and the rules are very well thought of. They give some extra bonuses, but in specific situations. But really, as you said, they don't change the battle. They're not winning. You're not going to win the battle if you get a good card. Now, so you're setting up the game. So this is like a setup. We set approximately how we set up the game. Then you roll D6 and see who will be the invader and who will be the defender, unless you have a game that you've decided already, maybe a historical battle. And then you go to the sequence of play, where you basically roll D6 and you have command points, like the old pips we had in DBMM, correct? Yeah. That you can use them to perform some actions.
And then from, we're not going to go into much detail, we're not going to say all the game, but from these command points, if some of them are spare, you're not going to use them, one in every turn can go to a pool that you can use to boost movement, to boost melee, to boost hand-to-hand combat. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. So both armies have a command pool at the start of the battle, and like you've just explained there, if you roll like a 6 and you only use 5 of them, you can put that spare one into your pool. So you're going to use 3. So, for example, if you were the English there and you wanted to move everybody forward, that would only take 1 pip because we're in a battle line. And then you've got 2 left, so you can put one of them into your pool each turn. And what I would suggest for people to do is not waste them in the early parts of the battle. Use them when you're generals in battle or when you're trying to kill the enemy general, because you can add them to your as bonuses to shooting or combat.
And can you tell me the sequence of play now? So now the game goes, every army does movement, shooting, hand-to-hand combat, and then goes to the next army.
So the kind of sequence of play, so let's, for example, say the English there. So you've rolled 3 command points.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the starting turn, you roll your command points, you've got 3. So you can either charge one of your units for 1 command point, okay? Or you can move 3 of your units. Yeah, you can split them all up. Or if they're in a battle line, you can move all of them together for 1 point. So basically, that's the 3 things you can do. Yeah. Once you've done the movement, so are we going to look at morale and stamina?
Yes, of course. Let me put this in the back. So why don't you, while I'm putting the dice, why don't you talk us about the attributes of the unit? What every unit, what it has? Some units are regular, some.
Okay, so units have very minimal stats. I didn't want to create a game where there was really complex, and there was 4 different tables to look at for moving and shooting and things. So basically, every unit has a movement stat, a threat level. The threat level, so the movement's self-explanatory. The threat level is how good you are at shooting or combat. It's a combined kind of number. And you have an armor level. So each unit has its armor level. These levels only go from 0 to +3 maximum. Yeah, so that keeps that quite simple. Then you have regular or irregular troops. So regular troops are kind of guys who are in formation. For example, your knights or your men-at-arms or your militia, they work in a formation. And you have irregular troops, kind of like your mobs of peasants or clansmen or skirmishers. So what's the pros and cons of being irregular to an irregular unit is if you're a regular unit, you have to kind of move straight ahead, or you have to wheel, or you have to pivot. But that's the con of it. And plus, when you're moving through terrain, you have you only move at 1 base instead of your normal. So you have to kind of stumble through woods and things. Irregular troops can move in any direction. They ignore terrain kind of thing. So they're just running around as you would expect, which makes them really fast and flexible. They can do attacks from woods and things, or run across streams and things with no problems. Where regular troops, regular units really, really struggle and they get stuck in them kind of places. Yeah. So regular units as well, they're kind of pro, because the con is that they have crap movement, re-regulated movement. The pro for them, though, is if they're touching each other's bases, they give each other support if they're not in combat as well. And a +1 or a +2 bonus in combat is a really big boon kind of thing, because you're only rolling 1d6 each in combat. So, and there's anything else? Oh, so there's like a trained level. So you have three types of training. You have levy troops, which are untrained, peasants, some bowmen, levy bowmen and things. They have untrained troops or levy troops have a morale of 3 and a stamina of 3. The trained troops, like militia, clan cavalry, trying to think of things off the top of my head, Welsh warbands, they are trained, so they have 4 stamina and 4 morale. And then you have your veterans, which are always only in knights, really, and Galaglass units, like Irish kind of Norse guys. And they have 5s, so it's 3s, 4s, and 5s. So a knight has a stamina of 5 and a morale of 5, and then it goes down to 4 and 4, and then 3 and 3.
Yeah.
So, what is stamina and morale? So, I'll quickly tell you about this. I'm trying not to overcomplicate things. So, stamina, you get 2 dice between each unit, like you just put down there. So, for example, the armoured children, the Scottish armoured children on the bottom of the screen, I want to say, they've got 4 and 4. So, the red dice denotes morale. So, once their morale goes down to 0, the unit is dead. So, it's just like instead of taking units off bases, once the morale goes down to 0, they're gone. And the white one that he's using there, I use blue dice on mine.
Yeah, I know.
Stamina. Once your stamina is reduced to 0, you're exhausted, and then they're in a world of trouble, the unit.
Yeah.
So I'll put that over to you.
No, it's let me. So yes, it's actually very good mechanics. I have big dice because if you can put small dice there, other people can put cards, whatever. It doesn't bother me because the mechanics are very good. So if I can recap, what I like for regular troops is that obviously the regular troops move as they like, and they're weaker in battle. Obviously, the regular troops have specific rules of movement. But they're stronger in battle. But what I like in your rules is that sometimes regular troops, if they make this choice, can move as irregular and become disordered, correct? That's the case.
Yes.
And that's a good rule. Unless they join a battle line, that's another good rule. We're not going to go into detail, but this is a very nice idea because they can, I like the idea of this. Maybe you want to go somewhere fast, or maybe you want to get out of a situation and you want to move as irregular, but then in your opponent's turn, you have the worry that you're disorganized, and if he charges you, you get negative modifier. So it's something you have to count. Now, regarding stamina and morale, I really like this. Basically, units performing actions, fighting most of the time, or sometimes, if I don't remember getting shot at, they have to reduce stamina. So when stamina becomes 0, so for example, you're in hand-to-hand combat, 1 stamina down, you continue hand-to-hand combat, 1 stamina down for both units, not only for the victors, so for the losers. So that's obviously because the victors are getting tired as well.
Yeah.
So when stamina is getting to 0, you're losing more morale points than the ones you would have lost if you were fighting, for example. So if you lose 1 morale point, you will lose 2 morale points. Am I saying it correct?
Yeah.
So what I like is that if you stand still, if you don't fight with anybody, if you manage to isolate your unit, then you gain morale points. Then you gain stamina points. So I love these mechanics because they give an extra strategic option. You see your units fighting, but you're winning, but you see your morale going, reducing. Maybe you need to bring your reserves. Maybe you need to fight to finish this battle so this unit can take rest and recover its stamina. It's something that we don't see very often in the rules because obviously, especially in my expertise, if I say the medieval time and the 100 Years' War battles, not the battles lasted 2 or 3 hours. They were not fighting continuously. People were taking breaks. The reserves were coming in front to take over because people were tired. People were not fighting, from I read in some books, no more than 20, 30 minutes continuously. They couldn't. It was impossible. Maybe half an hour. So reserves were coming up. So this stamina rule that influences the unit's, power and ability, I really like it. I think it works well. I think it works very well. And it gives extra strategic options. You have to think your strategy ahead. You're not fighting continuously and you don't worry about it even if you're winning. You want to get rid of your opponent to rest your unit. You need to move your irregulars maybe in a flanking position to break them or give them extra bonuses. So even if you're winning, you have to think the next step in order to rest your troops, because in every hand-to-hand combat, you winner or loser, you're losing a stamina point.
Yes, so there's a couple of ways you can lose stamina. So every turn that you're in combat, just like you've explained there, every turn you're in combat at the end of the turn, both units who are in combat, they lose a point of stamina. You can also, skirmishers are the only unit in the game that can move twice in one turn. They can actually, so they can move like 3 bases and then 3 bases again. If they do that second one, they lose a point of stamina as well. There's another way, but I can't think off the top of my head that you can lose stamina. But
I have
in the apps one, have you got the rules open there?
and also, sorry, I was checking my notes. And also, you have you reduce morale when you lose battle, hand-to-hand combat, or you're shot at.
It all depends on what your dice roll is, and I'm sure we're going to go through a turn here, and we'll see.
We'll do one turn. Yeah.
We'll see exactly how that works out.
Yeah. So, yes. So stamina you lose from combat. You lose from withdraw skills, skirmish infantry, if they move twice, as you say, and some captain's cards.
Yes, captain's cards can, yeah. But you can, like I said before, you can always stand still and regain stamina. So one of the most brilliant, I know this is my rule set now, but it works time and time again. If you can lure the enemy's commander or the best units, the knights, into combat with a load of rubbish units and just get slaughtered, just throw peasants at them. Because knights have to kind of stick in combat all the time, because they'll always pursue the enemy. You can really wear their stamina down. So even though they're absolutely slaughtered, say a peasant unit, if they've got the peasant unit in combat for 3 times, their stamina is going to go down by 3 points. And then all you have to do is smash them in the side with a unit of your mounted knights. And your knights, who are hopefully a fresh unit, will absolutely annihilate them in the ensuing turns, because they'll become exhausted a lot quicker than your units will.
Yeah, I like this because your rules and the way your mechanics work, reserves play a very important role.
Yeah.
To have a reserve, it's something that you don't find in rule sets easily. I mean, everybody's fighting, they're fighting all that, but the armies in the medieval times used to have a big number of reserves for this reason. So the way you put your mechanics, reserves and their positioning plays a very important role. Something you don't find in rule sets. So in order to regain stamina, you stay still, not take part in combat, or not being harassed from skirmishers. If you are shot at, can you regain stamina or no?
So if somebody shoots at you, you either lose morale, or get pushed back. You don't lose stamina through that.
You don't lose stamina. Yeah,
but you can't. If you're the shooting unit and you're firing at somebody, even though you've stood still, you can't regain stamina either. Do you know what I mean? Because you're actually doing an action.
You're shooting, yeah. So also, let's say you have in your rule set some specific characters with specific that they can use, generals or heroes, as you mentioned them, like Simon de Montfort or Edward II, I think you have, or Edward I. I don't remember. Edward, and you have some heroes and that the players can opt getting a general's card by using one of these heroes and kings who have some special rules that can be used in the battlefield different than the cards, correct?
Yeah. So if you're playing a 200-point battle or more, then you have the option to be led by someone like William Wallace or Edward I. Yeah, so a hero or a king. And so if you do that, all you do is you pay an extra 10 points under your general's unit, and you don't have to take a random general card, which could make him an imbecile or a coward. The heroes and kings have their own set of like just one special rule that makes them stand out amongst others.
And also, let's not forget that in your army list, every unit has a special rule. Let me give an example. You have a devastating charge, or a shield wall, or you have some shield. So every unit, even the peasants, have some special rules that gives them an advantage. For example, in difficult terrain in the woods, the peasants have the woodsman rule, and they can fight. They get some bonuses. So every unit has a special rule that it gives them advantages in some situations.
Yes, totally.
So do you want us to roll a dice and show some shooting and some hand-to-hand combat or whatever here?
Yeah.
So let's say that is the English turn, and let's say I want to shoot. Let's say with this.
Hang on. Sorry, Nick. You've rolled a 3 there. So if, for example, let's do a full turn, yeah? And then
that's fine.
And we'll do from the English point of view, okay?
Okay.
So if you're rolling command points for the start of the turn.
Yeah, let me roll. Oh, yeah. Sorry about my hand. Okay, let me roll again. Okay, this is a 1.
Right. This is where. Oh, you want to give yourself 2?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
You want to roll again? Should I roll again for a bigger one?
No, that's fine. So you've rolled 2 for your command points. So now you have to decide how you want to move things. So there you've got a movement phase first. So the options that I can see, we'll just say that everybody's within charge distance, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're quite close to each other. So the options you have, you've got quite a few options if you want to, spread things about. You could charge them knights straight into the clansmen. Now you only charge things that are directly straight ahead of the edge of your base. All right. So they could charge the clansmen, the Scottish clansmen. You could bring your whole line forward in the battle line for 1 point. And another thing you could do is you could send them foot knights, charge them directly ahead into the children. Okay, so that's how you can spend your 2 points. Or these bowmen on the edges, they can move. They're regular troops. They can move in any direction. So you could flip them off into the woods, and where they'll be pretty safe.
Yeah, I can move them here, for example.
Yeah, you could just run them into the woods. And
so
the bowmen can still move and shoot in the same turn as well.
Yeah. So if let's say I think we are in charge range. I think it's my base depth is 3 centimeters. I think around 4. So it's you move. So the distance is 9 centimeters. So I can charge with the knight, and I can charge.
So a mounted knight has a move of 3 bases.
Yeah.
So if your base depth is 3 centimeters, you've got a move. So, for example, if you want to charge him into the clansman, you can do that now.
Yeah. So the charge is straight always, correct?
Straight. You cannot charge if the knot's directly ahead of you.
So I'm charging. I charge the clansman. Yeah.
And then the game is interrupted right then because mounted knights have a special rule called heavy charge. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to put a couple of dice on
the clansmen have 4, correct? 4. They're trained.
Yeah. So they have 4 and 4 because they're trained unit. I mean these guys are running around with like big massive axes and things. They've got like double-handed weapons. Okay. So on exactly the point of impact from a cavalry charge. Normal cavalry, like lighter cavalry, have a thing called devastating charge, which automatically reduces the enemy that you've just hit, reduces their morale by 1 point. But because it's a heavy charge, from a knight, he reduces it by 2 points. So their morale goes from 4 to 2 straight away. So instantly, they want to leave the battlefield very soon. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've spent 1 command point, you have another command point.
I have another command point. So should I if I move my man-at-arms, they're not going to charge because they have 6. They have 2 bases movement, so they're going to move 6 centimeter, correct?
Yeah,
So,
and in this game as well, you can measure any distances anytime you want.
so if I leave them like this and go to shooting, so I try to harass the Scots and push them back, what do you think?
It's entirely up to you. It's entirely up to you.
Yeah,
Or you can always pool one point into a command pool.
Yeah, I can put, yes, I will put 1 point in my command pool, so I will have a 1 remaining. I have 1 point here. Let's say this is my command pool.
Yeah, and then you command point dice because you've out of command points now. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Brilliant.
now we go for shooting. I would like to shoot with my bowman. Now, because the bowmen have not moved, I can use the volley rule, correct? That gives me +1. Is that correct?
Yes, but can I just say that English levy bowmen are the only ones that have the volley fire rule. So if the volley fire rule is basically if they stand still, they get a +1 on the shooting table. Okay.
So let me roll. Oh, I rolled a 6.
And on right. So first of all, declare what unit's firing.
Yeah, I will fire at the children's here and at the knight here with the straight.
Okay, so you do one at a time. So we're going to look at the children first, right? So the
Something
children.
I have to say before you finish, I have to say it's also very nice in your rules that you have flank and rear shooting. Very nice. And if you're in the flank, you can shoot your opponent in the flank, and obviously it's more devastating than from straight. Right? So
basically
let's
on the shooting table. So
yeah.
what you've done there is, I mean, you just unroll that dice kind of thing, take that off. So you have to like say who your target is, what unit you're shooting, and what your target is. So basically, you point out the unit that you want to shoot.
Okay, I'm shooting the children.
All right, from who? From the ones that are directly in front of them. Yeah. Great, brilliant. Okay, so what you first do is you're going to now add up any bonuses or modifiers. Okay. So the modifiers that you've got is you get +1 because you're using the volley fire rule, okay? But the armored children have an armour of +1, so that negates you're both +1, so that negates anything. So there's no modifiers on this shooting, okay?
Yeah.
What you have to do for a shooting rule, it's really, really simple. It's work on the basis like 50% of the time you're going to do something nasty to the enemy, okay? And 50% you're not. That's the way it kind of works out, so it's not too deadly. So if you roll a 1, 2, or 3, nothing happens. If you kill a few men, a couple of them run off, but nothing to break the unit's morale. If you get a 4, if you roll a 4, you push them back. If you roll a 5, you push them back and take a morale. And if you roll a 6, you push them back and put them into full retreat. Okay? So you're going to need it. Can you just put a couple of dice on their unit as well?
Yeah.
Thank you.
These are 4 also.
Yeah, they're 4s as well because they're trained. They're a pretty good trained army because they were just fighting a lot, I suppose, and stuff. Okay then. So you're going to roll a dice, and you've got no modifiers. So we'll just take this as live. You just re-roll that 6 that you rolled earlier on.
Yeah. I rolled a 5.
Okay, so if you look on the table, a 4 is to push them back 1 base, a 5 is to push them back 1 base and reduce the morale by 1 point.
Yeah. So let me move it. So you move back approximately. I will put it 1 base. I will move the camera.
Yeah,
so it's
that's perfect. And this is why everything has to be on the same kind of base because it helps you with little bits of movement like that as well. So you've now reduced their morale. So you've killed maybe half a dozen of them, and the rest of them are thinking, "I don't fancy that."
That's very good because I'm breaking the line of battle, and
you can see at a glance how the army is going to start to break down.
And also I'm forcing them to use more command points to move their army. Because when you play, that's very important.
Okay, so that's your first shooting. So any other units in your army now can fire as well on the English side. That's just the English turn. So now you've got your other units.
Let me roll. So I shoot again now with this bowman at the children. let's
Well,
do it again.
It's up to you. It's up to you. So if you look at because you can either shoot at the knights or the children.
Well, let's shoot at the knight so we can have. Also, let me show you because you show the range and the arc of the bowman.
Yes.
Your arc, because I cut it, goes something like this. It's from the corners to the back, the center of the back side, correct?
That's exactly right. So you put it, you
This
pinpoint the back, and then that's a really good template actually.
Yeah, I use it because it's easier when you're shooting to know the target. So I like the idea that you have quite a large range. So this is your range, and
that's your arc of fire. But your range is like three paces.
Yeah. So three. This is arc of fire. So we're shooting at the king, at the general.
You can shoot at the general, or you can shoot at the children. It's entirely.
Let's shoot at the general to see the different mechanics. So I roll and I roll a 4.
No. You don't roll first. You have to do the modifiers. Do the modifiers first.
Okay.
And then you know what your dice roll is, kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. So can you tell me the modifiers, because I don't remember the general what he has. He has an armor roll, doesn't he?
So you roll against. So when you're shooting against somebody, the target's armor always comes into it. Now the knights have the best armor in the game, which is a +2. So basically, you're at they're at +2, and because you're standing still firing using your volley fire rule again, just as the same as the last unit did, you're going to get +1. So the difference is a -1 to you. Yeah, do you get that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So you had +1, and the Scots Knights had +2. So now you're shooting at a disadvantage of -1. It's never really a good idea unless you're using longbows or crossbows to shoot at knights. Very rarely that you do anything to them.
So with the roll, or if I keep the same roll, with the roll of 4, I have a -1, that's a 3, and that means nothing happened, the target is unharmed.
Yep.
Perfect. So go on, we finish shooting and we go to hand-to-hand combat, correct?
Yep. So the enemy don't shoot in your turn either. Yeah, we'll make that clear.
Yes.
So we're still in the English turn. And then we'll go, because it's the English turn, you might have 2 or 3 or 4 units in combat, and you choose exactly who you want to fight first. All right?
Yeah.
So
we have one combat now. Go on, yeah.
So we need 2 dice on the back of your knights.
Yeah.
Lovely. On 5s, because they're veterans.
Mm-hmm.
And then, so we've seen this turn, they've charged into the clansmen, and the clansmen's morale has been halved straight away because of the heavy charge. So now, for combat, we'll look at bonuses, modifiers. So how we do this is, in combat, you look at a threat level and your armor level, and you add them together, and that's it. So the threat level of a mounted knight is +2, and the armor of a mounted knight is +2. So you're on a +4 straight away. Okay?
Yeah.
The clansmen don't have any armor because they are on +0 for armor. But they do have a threat level of +1. Yeah, so it's 4 to 1. So you have a bonus of advantage of +3 for the knights. Yeah. So both players will roll a dice. So the knights, you roll first. Roll for the knights first and get your +3.
I roll a 6.
So you're on 9, okay? And then you roll a dice for the hapless.
Let me roll again. 1. I mean, it's
it's 9 against. Well, it doesn't matter. A 9 against 1. You still beat them by 5 or more, right?
Yeah.
Which is the best kind of outcome you can get. And what happens in that outcome is you push them back 1 base, but the knights always pursue. So you can just push the base, and that's it. So they'll go back 1 base, that's it. And they'll always pursue. Now, because you beat them by 5 or more, you lose the clansmen lose 1 morale, so they'll be on 1 morale left. Okay, and because the one on 5 or more, that if the knight's morale was lower than its starting level, so if it was lower than 5, they could actually gain a point of morale.
Yes.
Because they're absolutely slaughtering them. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. So in hand-to-hand combat, if your victory is enormous, you gain a morale point. If it's a slaughtering victory, but
and that's there's only two ways you can gain your morale back. It's by doing it. You can either by removing an enemy unit, you'll gain a point of morale, and if you get a 5+ on combat. So in theory, if you roll a 5+, and you kill the unit, you can get +2. You back up your morale, take it up to its maximum level again.
Yeah.
Which makes them very tough knights. Okay, so because they're in combat, so you've just sussed out that the clansmen just took a massive hammering. Now both units in the combat lose a point of stamina.
Yeah.
So theirs is down to 3. I mean, they'll break before they lose stamina. They probably still have stamina to run home.
Yeah. And the knights go to 4.
And the knights go down to 4.
And that's
the higher they start off, so veterans will last a lot longer in battle than they will a levy unit, for example.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the combat. That's combat turn 1. So now it's the Scots' turn.
Mm-hmm.
So Scots roll for command points.
They're only 5.
Okay. What do you want to
do? Probably I would like to charge the longbowman, the bowman, with the mounted Scottish knight here.
Okay, so you do that straight away. You're gonna have to put some dice on them as well. And
unfortunately, I cannot charge because there's a distance here. Try to move. Maybe we didn't say something. These clansmen are irregular, correct?
Yes.
That's why they don't get support from the from this. Otherwise, they would have gotten a +1. Is that correct?
Yeah. If they were both regular troops,
they're
in the position that they are now, when the clansmen now fight in their turn, they will get a +1 support from the children. Yeah. So there's a couple of things you can do with the Scots, anyways. The children is actually a special rule that's only there for the Scottish children. Okay. So you've got 5 points. So what you can do, your children now at the moment aren't in combat. Okay. Neither unit. So they can spend 1 point on each of them to turn them into a children formation.
Okay.
Which means that they'll be totally immobile while they're in that children formation. But cavalry don't get any devastating or heavy charges against them if they charge them, so they won't automatically lose morale. They never get pushed back. So you can just put them in children formation and they'll hold a hill or something until the last man's dead.
I get it. That's good. Yeah.
Not really a lot of point of putting them in children formation at the minute.
Let's show the mechanics. Doesn't matter. So we can put them in children formation. So we'll go to 3 points, and 1 point for the charge command point will go to 2, and 1 I use for my pool, and 1 is discarded. Correct?
Okay. So do it one at a time, though, so everybody's aware of what you're doing. So what do you want to do first?
So we do. Let's say, as you said, there's no point, but to show the mechanics, we turn these 2 children formation into children, basically.
And what you would do with that is you would put just a marker down on each one of the units. I've made little Scottish kind of flags, like blue with the white crosses.
I don't have it here, but yes, I will have it.
You can use anything. That's 2 points.
And now I charge, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So you charge directly straight ahead. Now, if you look, if you go straight ahead, right, but you're actually not 100% on the thing, on it yet.
Yeah.
But if you push them straight ahead, directly ahead, right, now you slide to the defender. So you're perfectly on the defender.
Yeah.
That's
you're aligned.
Tidy on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Okay. So as soon as that unit got hit, because you have to interrupt play again for the heavy charge of them knights, their morale goes down by 2. So them levy bowmen are untrained, so they're on 3 and 3 at the start. So
they go at 1.
Yeah, they're like definitely running home to mama.
Maybe go closer a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we can see. Yeah.
You can see how devastating the charge is from cavalry and
It
stuff.
is.
Even the lighter kind of the medium cavalry, mounted sergeants
Mhm.
and light cavalry, they still do a devastating charge. But a night charge, a heavy charge is really a killer thing. Okay, then, so you see you got 2 points left and you want to put 1 point into your pool.
Yeah, I put 1 point in my pool already. Yeah.
Okay. You're gonna have to remember to use your points from your pool when you want to use them, okay? Because they are always forgotten about. Always forgotten about.
Yeah.
Okay.
So go on.
Now you've done it, so you've spent all your command points, you've pooled one. The next thing you do is you go through the list, and it's the Scottish shooting turn. Now the Scots haven't got any bow or any crossbow or anything on the table. In the actual game, in the list, they have Highland bowmen.
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Bowmen, they're not very good. So you go skip that level and you go straight to hand combat. But before you do that, you have a chance to put your command point on a combat. Boost 5+1 if you want to.
I would like to put the command point in the knowing that the bowmen are weak. The English cannot because it's not their turn. Correct. To put a command from the pool, you have to be in your turn.
Whoever's turn it is can place command points. Yeah.
So only the Scots. So the Scots will try and devastate the English for finish with them.
They probably will without that, but it's still you can do.
Yeah,
that.
we'll do it for the game, the sake of the game. Yeah.
So now because it's your turn, you've got 2 combats going on. You've got the clansman and you've got your knights. So which one do you want to do first?
Let's do the knights. Well, I'm focusing now.
Okay, so we'll look at bonuses. So we'll look at the weaker ones first. We've got the levy bowmen are actually wearing like gambesons, so they've got a +1 armor. So their bonus is +1. Your knights have +2 threat level and +2 armor, so they're +4. And then they've got a +1 from your command point. So it's 5 against 1. Okay, bonus.
So it's a 4.
So you've got a +4 bonus. So you roll a d6 and you add +4 and send them straight to hell.
So sorry, I rolled a 3.
Okay, so you roll a 3, you add your 4, that's 7. So you've beat them by more than 5. Yeah?
Yeah.
So they're actually taken off because the last point of morale is gone because you would take the point of morale and then you would take the whole unit off because it's run away. Now, the knights do not pursue after they kill somebody because they just stand there and, celebrate kind of thing while they reform. All right?
Yeah.
So at the end of that combat, though, the knights will have to lose a point of stamina because they've had a round of combat. Okay. So we'll see that 1 charge and levy units have gone from knights, yeah? Then we'll go back to the clansmen. So you look at bonuses again. So this time you don't have any armor, but you have a threat level +1 for the clansmen. So and the knights have threat level 2, armor 2 as normal. So they're +3 on you altogether. So the English knights are +3 on you altogether.
So I roll for the Scottish now. The English have a +3. Oops. Sorry, I rolled. Wait, that one again. So I rolled a 2
for the English. No, who was sorry?
For the Scottish, sorry. So let me roll for the English.
Right.
A 5. Well, I roll high for the English lately.
So you rolled a 5 plus you were +3, so that's 8 against 2. So again, you're getting the 5 or more, so they've lost a point of morale.
So they removed.
They're just removed, yeah, they're dead. Once they've lost the last point of morale, they run away. Or they get slaughtered. Okay, and because you've actually killed a unit, you would bring up your morale if you wanted. But you're totally right what you're going to do there. Reduce the morale, the stamina, sorry, by another.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Okay. So them units that you've now taken off, you've both lost a unit, you would get the points for them units.
Yeah.
And you keep a tally on them. So the points for the Levy English Bowmen are 10 points.
Mhm.
So the Scottish have 10 points in their tally. And the clansmen, I think, are 16 points.
Mhm.
So the English would have 16 points. So the English are winning 16-10 so far. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. And that's it for your turn.
Yeah, that's good. Now we have to say that this is the how we charge was the strongest units in the army with the weakest units in the army. That's why the differences were. I mean, I rolled also 6 and 1, but the differences were. I mean, they were very powerful. But generally, from a couple of games I fought with units, it's especially when they're quite equal. It's a push back, push front situation. It's and morale is reducing and stamina is reducing, but the battle is very hard fought. But if you manage to charge with your best units, the weakest units, you can get advantages from as obviously in every battle and rule set. So now, can I ask you something? With the English now, let's say it's English turn. What movement I can do with a mounted? For example, that's a question. They can they turn and attack?
No,
Does this count as an attack?
Because they're a regular unit, they are a regular unit. Sorry. They can pivot on the spot 90 degrees either way. That's one choice to have. Yeah. Or up to 90 degrees kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or they can move and wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, or wheel and move. Or they can become disorganized and move in any bloody direction you want. And you put a disorganized counter on them. So, for example, your two children there are both in children formation. So it's not really a great idea to get amongst them. It might be a good idea to stand them still and let the stamina regain this turn.
Yeah.
Because you could maybe, as I can see, the Scots you could actually pin the Scottish general around with them other two units, and just go for it, because them children are stuck in children formation until they decide to get back into regular formation again. So So for example, just roll a dice for command points for the Scots. Just like very quickly walk through it.
6.
Okay, loads. You got 6. So what would you like to do with your mounted knights in general?
Of the Scottish, you mean?
Yeah.
Of English.
English. Because it's back to the English turn now. What would you like to do?
How can I attack the Scottish knights in this way? Can I? How can I do the English?
Nobody is starting the turn facing them. This is the problem. So you can't. You only charge what's directly in front of you.
What's exactly? So if you disorganize, if you disorganize him and let's say slide him in front, can this be done?
Yes. If you disorganize somebody in any direction, any way you want.
But you will fight as disorganized unit, and you will have negative modifiers. Is that correct?
If you get caught as disorganized, yeah. Because at the start of your next turn, you would automatically become ordered again. So you would lose that. You just have to try and keep out the way of bowmen shooting at you.
So I will try to move them straight and go to the children's. That's what I would try to do. I don't.
All right, so you want to move towards the children, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. So just moving straight ahead. So we move 6 centimeters, yeah?
Yes, yeah, here go approximately.
Does that get them in combat?
Well, let me see. Well, it doesn't, but we can do it for the games.
So just push them straight ahead, and then you slide them over.
Yeah.
Perfect. You take the dice with you. Put them to the side or something. Yes. So that's 1 point spent.
And then I can. That's 1 point spent, and then I can shoot with my longbowman the children.
No, what we're doing is we're still spending command points, so we're still in the
I know.
movement phase. So
Okay.
what I would do, if I could give
Yeah.
you a kind of thing, is I would
course.
move your bowmen, bring them round to behind the front of the Scottish Knights' front edge of the base. So you're going to flank and shoot them at the side.
So like this?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually.
it's still moving shoot.
Yeah.
And then with your Scottish Knights, you can just, I don't know, it's up to you what you want to do with them.
With my mounted knight, there's the English.
Oh, I'll tell you what you could do, which is a brilliant move. Okay.
Yeah.
You can make a battle line, right? You can form a battle line. So
Yeah.
you see the foot knights that are in combat with the showdown.
Yeah, I can move them irregular here, and they don't become disorganized because they form a battle line as per rule.
Exactly.
Perfect idea.
And they are going to give support to the knight.
That's
Okay.
fantastic idea.
Yeah. So basically, what has happened there is they formed a battle line, even though they've moved backwards, and so that means that they don't become disorganized.
Yes, that's very good.
It's like a drill. It's like a drill, I suppose everybody would have done. Yeah.
So that's a perfect situation now. So let's do the shooting and the hand-to-hand combat, because this will be interesting.
Because you've got a couple of points there, a couple of command points left. So put one in your pool. So you've got got two in the pool. Then you've got some bonuses now. Okay. So for example, we'll go to shooting. So your bowmen moved, and so they don't get the volley fire special. Yeah. But what you can do, which is probably a good thing to show people now, is you can use both of them if you want, both of them command points on that unit, give it a +2 bonus to a shoot. Yeah. You're also going to get a +1 for flanking or rearing an enemy when you shoot them. Okay. So you're going to be on +3. Okay.
Yeah.
Now the knights, they just get their armor, which is +2. So you're actually a +1 bonus on knights, right?
Yeah.
And this can be, I really, really, really hope you push them back, because this will be devastating for them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you roll dice and you have +1.
1 second. Oh, sorry. It's a small space.
No, I know.
So I roll a 4.
Awesome. So you get a 5. So you push them back and the morale.
Yeah.
So when you're shooting people from the side, the people who are up the target unit has to turn to face the shooters.
Yes.
So you pivot them now, right? And then you push them back. Now, you're going to push them back into the wood, right? So you push them back 1 base, which is 3. Okay. And so they lose a point of morale, so they're on 4 morale. Now, they're in the woods, so that only means that they can move 1 base, right? Next turn on their turn. So they can't charge them bowmen. So them bowmen in theory can just stand and keep shooting them back into the woods.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic, actually.
So your pool, you haven't got anything in your command pool if you want to get rid of that dice at the top.
Yeah.
Try to keep the table tidy kind of thing. So that's your shooting, all right? So also as well, when anybody is in heavy terrain, so woods and streams are classed as heavy terrain. I think scrubs might be as well, off the top of my head. They don't get any combat bonuses at all. They don't get any bonus for the armor and any bonus for our threat level. So your guys, your levy guys, could run in there, and everybody would be on +0.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Which is an excellent way to kill knights in woods.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's really brilliant. So we go to hand-to-hand combat now.
Yes. So you go.
Now,
so
I have to say something. If we wanted, for example, we can use here a captain's card. So if I had this captain's card, I could have used it for my man at arms if I want, or for the mounted knights, or for anybody anytime. Correct?
Yeah. So you could use that now. But I think the slaughter one is at the start of the combat, the enemy automatically lose a point of morale.
Okay, so fantastic. So let's say
Let the Scots
So
lose a
let's
point
do
of
that.
morale.
So bring it straight down. Now, if the other rule on the slaughter card is if the unit were peasants, so if them sheltering were peasants, they would automatically flee the battle as well. Okay?
Yeah.
So that really works excellent against peasants. So you use your captain's card, so then you would discard that, you can't use it anymore.
Yeah.
And then again, you just look at what your bonuses are.
Mm-hmm.
So for foot knights, foot knights are the best combaters in the game. So your knights naturally fight much better on foot than they do on horse, but they obviously don't have like a heavy charge or anything. So what they get is they get a normal knight armor of +2, so that's the first bonus they get. But then they get a +3 for a threat level. So these guys are like giants. So altogether, their bonus is +5. Okay,
Yeah.
+5. You're right. Then, because they have another, they are a regular unit, and they have another regular unit next to them. They get a +1 bonus for the knights being there to support them. So they're now on +6. Okay, lovely. So your sheltering, being in the sheltering doesn't really help this unit at the moment, apart from they will never be pushed back. Okay. So if you look at the sheltering, they don't have any threat level, and they have an armor of +1. So basically, your bonus now is +5. Yeah. So you roll for. Let's roll for the sheltering first. Let's give them a chance.
Mm-hmm. Okay, they rolled a 6.
Yeah, right. Well, fighting for their lives. So they're a 6, and now you roll a dice for the English, and you get +5 to your dice roll.
They rolled a 2.
So you beat them by 1.
Mm-hmm.
So unbelievably, you will have just pushed them back, but because they're in a short formation, they don't move anywhere. So nothing happens apart from both units lose stamina. That is the fight of their lives there, like.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that's Scottish turnover, and then it will be English again.
And I mean, this was brilliant. It shows how very interesting the game is, and how if you take advantage of even weaker units, attributes, and the fighting difficult terrain, or shooting difficult, how you can. I mean, for example, the English bowmen, who if they were charged, they would be in big trouble. Now they can maybe annihilate the Scottish knights in the woods, and they can attack them without any bonuses if they don't allow them to leave. So it's a great gameplay, really great, and it was very enjoyable, this battle report. What if the Scots fought? I mean, now what we would have done, we would have tried to move the Scots out of the woods, so at least they can get the bonuses back, and maybe
the general, probably his best thing would probably be to disorganize himself and come back towards his line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he would get away from them woods, and then, but that would mean he'd be disorganized for his full turn. Okay.
Yeah.
And then the sheltering at the bottom, they would get out of their sheltering formation. Well, now see, because you've got them knights hanging around, because they would just charge them then, wouldn't they? And so they're probably better off just sitting there.
Yeah, you're right. So yeah, he would disorganize himself. That means he could move out in any direction.
3 bases, yeah, and he could stand in space where you can turn yourself around, or you can turn yourself to the side to charge them other knights on the side. Yeah.
But he will be disorganized until the next turn.
And what happens when disorganized? If anybody shoots at a disorganized unit, they get a +2 bonus.
Yeah.
If anybody attacks you in close combat, they get a +2 bonus. But that unit in close combat will will keep the disorganized counter all the time. So
and these guys, I would remove the sheltering formation, and they could charge.
No. If you remove the sheltering formation, all they can do is pivot on the spot in any direction.
Okay.
And then next turn they could charge. That's why I'm saying, because if they come out of sheltering formation now, them English knights would just charge them and finish them off.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. That was fantastic thing. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. It's been really nice, actually. I mean, I've played with a couple of my close friends like over the past couple of years. This was all getting developed during lockdown and things as well. So we were playing online like this to try and develop things. But it's lovely to see that somebody else, 3,000 miles away, can still get the rules. Especially when English isn't your first language.
Say to the guys who will watch this, there's so many friends of mine who want to see this, that we are going to plan a battle with your miniatures. So you, because you know better, we can show a bit more stuff when we sort out the mechanics and the technical issues. Maybe you can get a camera or something. But tell us tell the guys how they can get the rules. And if I know that if any questions they have, you support. Any questions I had, you responded immediately. So that's very important from the author to be able to explain, because sometimes people don't understand everything, obviously. But tell the guys where they can get the rules and anything else you want before we close.
Okay, so just very briefly, we're busy in the middle of Broken Spirit Wargames has been going for around 5 years. It's like a kind of hobby level kind of thing. This year we're going to rebrand, and we've been working from a Facebook page. So if you want to get the PDF at the moment, because we're not going to do a full book because it just costs far too much money. And then postage is ridiculous around the world at the moment. So this is the easiest way to get a hold of it. It costs £10. Inbox me on Broken Spirit Wargames page.
We'll put the link in the video description, don't worry.
Yeah, lovely. On Facebook. And basically what I'll do is you send us the money via PayPal, if that's good for you. And then I'll send you a link from WeTransfer. And you can download it there straight away. And also if I do any kind of updates on the book as well, because I've noticed a couple of things that we were talking about before we went on camera. I will give you the updated versions of the book as they come out as well. I will post them to you, kind of thing. I'll just send them online for you. So yeah, just do that. And we're going to do the big rebranding thing because we've also been working on another game this year.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Anything else upcoming so people may know?
Yeah. So we've got another game happening, and it's based on 15 mil, and we're going to produce our own miniatures. So we are. Oh, there's a cat. Harry, get that. Bloody cats. Bane of a war gamer's life. So we're going to do. I can't really say a lot about it, but it's going to be a whole new game system. It's designed to be played on a 2x2. It's minimal miniatures. They're all going to be STL files. They're all sculpted. I've got quite a few of them done. I'm going to release it with 2 armies and a rule book for minimal cost. The rule book will probably be about 10 pages long. Really simple. And it's a kind of a gateway kind of way to get into gaming. And for veteran players, there's just a lot of scope for using a lot of different armies. So I'm going to give you the ways that I'm going to show you how, because like units are worth 1 point and 2 points. So it's dead easy to convert your own forces into stuff. Obviously, I would like you to buy the printable miniatures, but I want to get the game out there. I want it to be a travel thing as well. You can just come here. Oh,
Lovely.
Oh, hurry. Yeah, he's 22.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's legal. So yeah, it's going to be like a gateway one for again. So like if you have children and stuff, get them into wargaming, but it's also going to have enough in it for veteran gamers, and you'll be able to. The miniatures are great, so you can use them for other games as well. So if you wanted, I don't know. I mean, I can't give anything away, kind of thing. You've seen some of the screenshots I've sent.
Yeah, very beautiful. Yeah,
the nice miniatures, but we're hopefully going to do it. Like I know earlier on, he says, "Oh, this expands. This rules can beat them for 3,000 years." We don't like that, but that's a kind of. It's going to be fantasy. You can have fantasy armies. You can use historical. You can, like we'll try and get into some kind of like genres that aren't really out there. Yeah, so there's like some kind of periods. Like I'd love to do like Ivan the Terrible against the Teutonics or something like that. I do their kind of periods. So I really like the historic kind of side, but I also like sort of like dwarves against elves or something. It's trying to grab as many players in as we can. Just to push the brand, really. So that's the idea. But we want to get the website built and all that kind of stuff and put it up as a proper company and everything.
That's good. Great news. Great news. Dean, thank you very much for joining me. It was an excellent battle report. I'm really looking forward to fight a battle with you because you're gonna you know the rules better. But I'm really enjoying the rules, and I have to say that even for me, who I'm here in the Middle East, a solo gamer, you can play very easily solo. There's no issue at all. It's you have so many the cards and all these that give you the feel of unpredictability. But I really enjoy the rules. Thank you so much for joining. We'll meet again. We're sure we'll fight a battle with your miniatures when we sort out the camera issue. Guys, thank you for joining me so much. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know. I will put the Dean's Facebook link of the company of the rules in the description below, so you can check out the rules. I think Dean, you posted also some screenshot from the rules so they can have a read. Also, I remember you put some screenshot.
There's quite a bit of information on the Broken Spirit web.
And I hope from this game and before you understood how the rules work and some really, really amazing concepts. I mean, this concept, and I'll close with this, that a unit can become irregular and move, then it has a chance to be attacked. But if it doesn't have to be a chance, when it becomes regular, then you can charge somebody. It's amazing. It's amazing because it makes sense, because knights didn't move in shield wall formation when they went into woods or when they went to where they wanted to go fast. They open up and they move quickly. So at that opportunity, they're in danger to being charged. But if they're not charged, then they close formation again and they attack. So that's a brilliant idea. I really love that.
The last thing with this rule book is I don't want anything to be too overpowered. I'm just seeing their knights are really good. But they do have the weaknesses. If you can get them in woods with a unit of peasants, the peasants are going to hack them to pieces because that's where a peasant lives, in the woods, kind of thing. That's their turf. So nobody is overpowered, and even a peasant can take the king's head. Yeah,
and I like the pushbacks. Yeah, the pushbacks break the line, the command line, and then unfortunately. You need more command points to control your armies because they're not a group anymore. So that's very good, very, very good idea. Anyway, thank you so much, Dean. Thank you so much for joining me. Guys, thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed the video. Any questions, send to me or send to Dean. I have the link and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.